evening. How are we all this evening? It's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. A bit confused this week because obviously being bank holiday, it does feel like a Tuesday. Yet also it feels like a Friday. But yeah, so hello and welcome to everybody. Right, Moira, if you're watching, I'll get back to you in a minute. Right, so this evening we are going to have a little play because I have bought in my sewing machine. Now, why is that on there not playing? Right, might have to go to watching it on, here we go. Come on, laptop, catch up. Right, laptop's not catching up, so I will flick to phone in that corner while that does what it does. So as long as you can see me, that's all that matters. And I'm guessing you can. Right, hello Maureen, hello Diane, hello Carol. Laptop, so I'm going to be glancing down there. Right, laptop's catching up. I don't know what it's doing. It's old. Right, so how are we all this evening? So, plan for this evening. Quickly run through the stuff that we had on Hobby Maker on Monday and is now on the website. Then we'll get into playing with some papers and the sewing machine. So I'm going to prop my phone over there. There you go, it can pop there. There you go. Hi Maria. Although, actually I haven't got my glasses. Right, if I'm squinting a lot. Right, so I don't know why the laptop's going slow. Technology. It's saying it's still got the join thingy on. Right. So I'm going to flick to that camera to quickly go through what we've got in case you missed it on Monday, and these are on the website now. So the first thing we've got is the altered art blocks. So these are 18mm MDF, and the idea being that you can decorate them up with your papers, photos, whatever you fancy, and they freestand, you can combine them. So I've got one here that was using some graphic 45. The idea being that they do interlock, but they can all stand separately. You know, you can just, anything that you want to do on a piece of card or in a journal, if you want to have it a little bit more robust, you can use the altered art blocks. But they are designed so they all do fit together to make a 12 by 12. So if you want to do a puzzle block, you can do. Right, okay, laptop's still not caught up, so if I miss comments, I do apologise. Right, so that's the altered art blocks. I need to keep the space, you see they all fit together nicely like that. There we go. Over there. I'm just teasing those there. Then we also have same kind of idea, but these are the houses, and you get 6 houses, 2 tall skinny ones, 2 medium size and 2 smaller ones. So again, these are for any of your altered art mixed media projects, you know, using your papers up, making cute little houses. Obviously you can make them seasonal, and I'm using that term loosely at the moment because it is still too hot to be thinking about that, but they do work really nicely. Beach hearts, stuff like that. Again, they're 18mm MDF, so they stand up. They're on the website. And last, but oh no, not last yet. One more thing to show that you probably spotted these on the back shelf is the lighthouse. I'll come back to front. The lighthouse. The others are up on the shelf there. This is a flat pack kit. But again, it's 18mm, so when I say flat pack, it's not many components to it. But you get the string, you get the battery-operated tea light, you get the little sign, you know, for you to decorate up as you want. Okay, so that's the lighthouse. Again, everything is on the website. Right, flick back. Final thing to show, the paste papers. Now, you have seen me make paste papers in a Facebook Live before. These ones I went a little bit more to town with. So obviously I made the papers, the original papers are downstairs. I should have brought them up to show you. But I was layering, lots of layering. And also some of them started with things on the paper before I started putting the paste on. So this one had some of my vintage labels on it. There's some that have got bits of book page in them. But and then I was using skeleton leaves. This was another one with book page in. So I then took the papers and was layering more and more colours. So I started with one colour on some of the papers, then as they were drying I was mixing up another colour and layering them on top and stuff like that. So and then using like fabric and things to add extra texture to them. Once they were dry I photographed them, and then Paul has collated them and printed them out, and then we are selling them as a printed set. They are on the 80 GSM. But I sort of sidled up to him today and went, darling, and he always knows when I say that I'm after something, could you, and I knew the answer to this, make these into a download so that if you don't want to have them on this thinner paper, you want to print them onto race paper, you want to print them onto printable fabric, if you want to print them onto acetate, could they become available as a download? And he huffed and he puffed a little bit, but they are available on the website now as a download. So you can jump on and get them as a download so that you can print them out as many times as you want. Okay, so onto different materials. They are technical speech now. They are JPEGs, which means you can take them into programs and resize them, crop bits out of them, add layers to them, add wording to them. So if you digital journal, you can do that as well. Okay, so that is the paste papers available. If you haven't got a printer at home and you want us to print them, they are available to be printed, but they are also available as a download. Okay, so we are going to mainly play with these this evening, and I am going to use the printed out ones that we do, and we're going to do some stitched sewing machines by my feet at the moment. I need the desk space, so we're going to do 4 little toppers because I've got a plan for the 4 little toppers. Okay, so I'm just going to start by getting myself some papers. This is my full set, so I'm going to pop that to one side because I'm trying to keep a set so that I can do a pick and flick. Put that there. So I'm going to grab my already been eaten into pack. So I want that one. I think I'll have that one. I mean, just look at the texture on these. Obviously, there's not real texture. It's just the texture of the... Hi, Marv. You all right, mate? Hello, darling. You coming to say hello? Coming to say hello? No, he's not. Right, just want a few bits. Don't know where I'm going yet with them. I'm going to let the papers do the work for me. I've got a bit of a mixture of colour there. Use that one a lot. Trying to sort of ones. Maybe I know. I'll pick out some other bits in a minute. Let's just get some basic bits down. And I've got my trusty old ruler because I'm just going to tear bits off these, and I want to have it a little bit more controlled than sort of random tearing. So I'm going to use my ruler, which is going to give me still nice, interesting torn edge, but it's going to be a little bit more controlled just for now. So I don't really know what the theme of these toppers are going to be. But there we go. When do I ever know what they're going to be? Sometimes, you know, I'll just let the paper sort of decide for me. I just thought doing it with a ruler gives, again, a different sort of edge. I will not worry about the white edges. So those of you that have got fancy printers at home, if you get the downloads, you might be able to do it with edge-to-edge printing. Might take that a bit smaller. Just getting some bits. I love this one. I mean, it sounds really weird, but You know that one made a sound when I made it, didn't you? And you can see there's a skeleton leaf, but that was not that wasn't actually the paper that was going to have a skeleton leaf on it. That was because I took an impression on top of it. But you see what I mean? I'm saying about you can hear the noise that made. Have a little bit of that. And I like this one because it's got the lined paper, and you know I love my lined paper. And this one is just, see the skeleton leaves in that. I'm going to sort of do a bit of a bit like that, and a bit like that. So it's giving me those. See, if these were downloads, I wouldn't have to be being, you know, I could mess about more and get more bits, but I just, there we go. I've got enough there to play with. Right. So I'm going to lay my squares out. Now this will all move, by the way, not just because of the fan, but because of how I'm going to attach them to my squares this time. So I'm just going to start roughly putting some of these papers down, just to give me a sort of a basic idea of what I want. I think that's a bit too. Right, so if I'm missing any comments, I'm going to bring my phone back to this corner here so I can read. But apologies, I don't know what it's doing. It's just got the little blue circle going round on it. Okay, tear a bit off that. I think I've kind of got almost a snake-like. Don't mention that to Marvin. I'm just playing at this point. It's got a bit of blue in it. If the bit's too big, just tear it down a bit more. Oh, that's a good bit. Right. So I just basically need enough to cover one of these squares. Okay, that's all they're needing at the moment, is to have paper to cover them. Now I am not gluing these down because I'm going to stitch them. If you want to do this with gluing, absolutely fine. But I'm not gluing because I know I'm going to stitch and I don't want to clog my needle up with glue. So I'm being very good and respectful of my 1930s needles. Did have a problem at the weekend and did have to phone my friend who's very good with sewing machines. And I said, look, my thread keeps breaking. I don't think it's the only thing I've changed is I've broken a needle. Could it be the needle? And basically don't use 1930s needles. They might be a bit rough. So I'm just clipping these papers roughly where I want them. I think this one needs, does this want a bit of this? Do I want a bit of blue on this? It's got that nice purple. Or do I go with a bit of that one? It's quite nice. Okay, so I'm just going to clip. So it's just roughly clipping them just so that I can vaguely remember what I was doing. I'll take a bit of that off. Have a bit of that one. Put that there. And then a bit of that there. Okay, that'll do. Right. So careful planning, obviously. And let's just take away these excess bits because I want the space clear because she's coming up now. Hang on, I've got to pick her up carefully and unhook the microphone cable from it. Right, and I have adjusted cameras. Look at this. I've adjusted the camera so you get a view into there. So here it is, my beautiful 1939 Singer sewing machine. It is a manual one, so it means that I can use it for all sorts of things, and obviously today we're going to be using it with paper and card. So, right, excuse me a minute. Marv, that wasn't a bowl of water, mate. That was me water for a demo later. Okay, thanks. Don't leave your bowl of water for a demo later on the floor. So, this sewing machine was bought specifically for my sort of crafting projects. Although I have used it to repair a dress, it was bought because it is a hand sewing machine, and I can do with it things that I wouldn't do on an electric sewing machine, because I only have one sewing machine before getting this, and it's like, you know, I don't want to mess it up by doing things with card and paper, you know, and might maybe break needles or clog it up, and they're just, so I've specifically got this for craft. And when I say craft, I mean like paper craft. So all I'm going to do first, I've got a variegated thread on. I have got a variegated thread, different one, in the bobbin underneath. And I'm just going to loosely, I can't actually see where the square is, so I'm going to loosely go round roughly where I think the square is, just to anchor these papers down a little bit. Okay, I am not overly thinking about it. Just like you would when you're stitching fabric, pick the foot up to turn. But the great thing with this sewing machine is I've got my hands, I can work anywhere. So I pick this up and put it out on the table and work outside. I'm controlling the speed easily with the turn of the handle. It's not getting away from me. Okay, I'm just going to go a little bit there, just like I would if I was sewing fabric. Make sure the needle comes up. Pull that out. And now I can, if I come in there, now I can turn it over and trim off the edges so I can see exactly where the square is. But I don't care that that first line of stitching is a bit random. That's the joy of, oh, that's going to slightly annoy me. I'll do. So I've got my, I'm going to switch to this one now, so you can see I've started to get a little panel. Now the next thing I do, once I've got them anchored down like that, is I start to draw around them with the sewing machine. And again, because I'm doing it by hand, not having to do anything fancy like you do with free motion embroidery where you drop the feed dogs. I don't think you can drop the feed dogs on a vintage Singer. I'm just going slowly and following the lines of the edge of the paper. Not worrying about it going even. This isn't sewing bee. I'm not worrying about a perfect even hem. It's not even a hem. Right, I don't know if I'm missing comments. Bear with me a minute. Hello everybody. Right, okay. Yeah, these are perfect for junk journals. Oh, brilliant, Elsbeth. Right, sorry, I will catch up on these comments. Right. Laptop still circling. So I've gone round this piece of paper here. So now I'm going to go across here and just fill that in. So I'm just using this almost to doodle. And you can, you can add in other details if you want to. I'm going to do an extra edge there. Just move how you want it to. But the important thing is to make sure that the papers are attached. Okay, and that's the main objective. Also, don't worry about these threads. I'll deal with them in a minute. I think we'll go down there. But listen to that noise. I hope you can hear that all right on the... Right, I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a bit fun. Right, anywhere where the threads are, I trim out. Any that I've caught, because I never pay attention to my tails when I'm stitching. I am the worst sewer. Don't ask me to do any alterations. I mean, it'd be altered, but not in the way you want. But once I'm at this sort of stage, I would then start looking to see what else do I want to add to that. You know, is it a landscape? Am I seeing a landscape there? I'm actually starting to see half a butterfly there. Can you see what I'm saying about a butterfly's wing there? So what you could do is come in and stitch some details into there and add it to here to make it look like a butterfly. I'll come back to that one. We might do more on that one, but let's do another one. So this one's a bit more actually, just to make my life a little bit easier, because what happened on that one, because I hadn't cut my white edges off. Normally I would cut my white edges off my papers so I don't accidentally have them where I don't want them, and I forgot on these ones. I sort of thought, oh, it wouldn't matter, but when I was stitching, so I'm gonna just stitch. I folded these ends over. I'm just going to stitch these papers down so I can then, no, I'm going to have to, it's going to annoy me, bear with me, I'm going to cut that white bit off, and then it's not going to stress me out, because you know me, you shouldn't let anything crafty stress you out. So get into the habit of taking your white bits off, and then it doesn't matter. Also, if you're worried, let me do this another way as well. If you're worried about handling loads of bits of paper and holding them down, and you don't want to put glue because you don't want to clog your sewing machine up with glue, do them one at a time. So let's do that on this one. Let's attach him down the bottom there. Go around the corner. Now pick up the next one. And then pick up your next one, and then you're not having to try and hold them all in place, and you're getting a little bit more of a random, because you're adding it as you're going along, so you're getting a bit more of a feel for it. Go along to there, and we're going to go round the corner, and then we'll trim those bits off in a sec. Now if you are doing these as bits on journals, just get that out. What you can do is these bits where they overlap, if you don't go back and add them, you've created a little pocket. So you can leave them as little pockets, which is quite nice as well. But I am going to add some lines to this. I just love letting the sewing machine create a pattern for you. You could end that and start again for that, but I sometimes like going over the edge. Don't worry about straight. The whole point of this is making it nice and organic. Did I just pull that? Oh, don't tell me I did that. Oh, hang on. This could bring us an end to the sewing, because my glasses are downstairs and I just stupidly broke the thread because I pulled too hard. Bear with me. I'm going to have to... Right, wish me luck. I'm going to try and thread it. Ooh. Why did I not bring my glasses up? This could be entertaining. I know, I should get a threader. Hang on, I also haven't gone down that little bit there. I knew I should have brought my glasses up. Come on. If I can't get it through the big hole on the front, what hope have we got of getting it through the needle? Right, everybody hold your breath as I attempt to get this through. Maybe I should stop talking for a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. No, I thought I'd got it, then I got all excited. Bear with me. This could be the very shortest stitching if... Right. Can't even... I mean, you know, when I can't even see the thread, what chance have I got of getting it through a teeny tiny little... These are ridiculously small eyes on needles. I don't think they do bookbinding ones. Oh, come on. If only I could have Marvin's eyesight. Is that through? Oh, it's through. Right. We may resume. There we go. Whew, that was close. There we go. Right, where were we up to? Right, I'm going to leave that one for a minute, just layered like that. We might add some more to that. I want to do this one next because I want to have that leaf on the top. So let's just, because I really love something I do with the leaves. So let's just quickly, let's go slowly and not break the thread again, because there's no way on this earth I'd manage to thread it twice in one show. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to sort of scroll down. No, okay. Right. So again, like anything I do, it is just about going with the flow with this. And I say, if you haven't got a sewing machine that you're happy to mess about with other things other than material with, I mean, you can get those sort of cheapy hand ones from like Lidl and stuff. Sometimes they come up. I'm sure they'd work as well. You can hand stitch, or you can get a stamp or just a pen and faux stitch. It doesn't have to be, you know, needle and thread stitching, but I kind of like the organicness of having stitching, and it's mixed media and it's sort of bare essentials, because we're taking a craft that isn't normally associated with paper and applying it to it. But also you can use this to stitch your pages into your journals as well. You know, so instead of gluing every so often, why not stitch the page directly in? We did it the other day on one of the lives where we added some detail. I've just sort of upped this a little bit. Right, what I love doing with the, where there's a leaf, so can you see there's the leaf? So what I'm going to do, which I'm going to flick to that one, that might be a bit easier for you to see. So I am following the veins of the leaf so that I'm adding additional texture to the leaf. Now as I come back, I'm going to add the sort of outward veins. Okay, go back the other way, twist it so that you're getting the, so I'm adding in the detail. So this is really moving into almost free motion embroidery, but in the most crude, naive way. But you wait till I take the camera to the overhead so you can see this. And I have specifically got a thread on that is quite autumnal in colour. It's a thread called Valdani, and they had these beautiful variegated, and anybody that knows me knows I love a variegated thread. But this is like reds and oranges, and I just think for the leaves and autumnal things, talking autumnal, don't forget you still got time to sign up for the autumn part of the club. See, that's why I needed to make sure Paul was getting good at doing the downloads, because I need him to do the downloads for the club. So I'm going to just go, I've missed, I'm following the pattern of the paper the leaf of the paper. Okay, and I'm just using my sewing machine basically to draw with. So if you don't want to do it with a sewing machine, do it with a pen. You know, and you can do your lines to look like stitching. There's nothing, you know, we do that all the time, don't we? I'm just finishing off with a bit of a round to mark the end of that leaf. Okay. Carefully pull. Don't tell me I did that again. No, there's two. Whew. So you see, it's added the detail of the leaf back on, and you've got that lovely texture. Back doesn't look too bad either. Right, last one. And I say sometimes I'll show you in a minute. I'll just get the basics of this one down, and then we might add a flower or something to one of these. And again, just because I'm doing it by stitching, you could do this just as nicely with gluing. I just wanted to show a different way of creating a collage. And then I say it has a sort of a more free movement to it, because as you're stitching, the papers might slip slightly. I think that, don't tell me, please don't have sprung out. No, it hasn't sprung out. Okay, I'm just being a bit too keen with it, that's the word. I say, and also the needles are really old. I will treat it to some, but isn't that amazing? 1939 this machine is. And not only is it still running like a dream, I mean, listen to that. I was able to wind the bobbin on it, because obviously underneath you have it's a proper shuttle bobbin underneath, and then just like you do on a modern sewing machine, it comes up to the top of the machine, and then you disconnect the needle, and then you use that handle to wind it. It's just fabulous. And then I'm just going to add some extra lines to this, just some wobbly lines, just to give a little bit of movement to this panel. Gently, gently, gently. So add a bit of a wobble to this one. So just like we would when we doodle and we do stamps and anything, I'm just using a different tool. And last bit. So this is giving it almost sort of a seaside beachy feel. I'll go to the overhead in a minute. Yeah, okay, so we're just going to trim that down. So we've got our 4 panels. We'll add a flower to one, and then the sewing machine will go away for now. But we've got 4 lovely panels. So, right. So, just before that, I've got a bit of magazine here, and I'm just going to run the sewing machine over it and create a grid on this piece, because this is going to become a lace paper. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to do the whole piece of paper, but you get the idea. You're just going to run across and create a grid or a pattern within this. So I'm just gonna, I think I'll just zigzag up here. So I just need to overlap the lines a little bit. It can be random, it can be a grid, it can be anything. But just on fairly sturdy paper you want this on. A glossy magazine would probably work better. I'll explain why in a minute. And then I'm just going to go down the middle there so that I've got interlocking lines. So a bit like those doodles we used to do at school, where you would then fill in with a bit like the Zentangle and Sanntangle kind of idea, but this time we're doing it with thread. Okay. So you get the idea. You've got, I think my bobbin might have run out underneath. So you've got a crisscross pattern there. Right, yeah, my bobbin has run out underneath. Look, there's the little shuttle. Oh, 'tis empty. So I need to fill that up. Shows how much sewing I've done. Right, so say goodnight to Mr. Sewing Machine. He's going away, but she is just amazing, and I love the fact that you can use it in such a beautiful way. Right, do need to move Marvin. Marv, darling. Marvin, can I just put this down, baby? Thank you very much. You can come back now. Right, now you've finished drinking. So before we go to our 4 panels, I just wanted to show you why I was sewing over this. So what you do is you drop it into a bowl of water and leave it to soak for a minute. Preferably not a bowl of water that your dog has just used as a drinking bowl. You cheeky. What are you doing now? You come and sit back down now, babes. Done it, finished now. Right, so just leave it to soak, and then you start to take the paper away from inside. And obviously it's torn where the stitching has gone through, so you've got that kind of perforation, and you just start to dismantle your paper, leaving bits behind that the stitches have caught. And you can do as much or as little as you want. And here's one I did earlier, and I really went to town with this. I proper scrunched it up and rubbed it, and then the paper started to fall out, and you get this amazing lacy paper with bits left. Once you leave it to go dry, it goes hard again, and I just think that's really lovely to overlay and add to journals and things like that. And I was thinking on the sewing machine, I'm obsessed with sewing machines, on the Lighthouse, it's got that kind of fishing net kind of feel. So that's a really nice way of using stitching as well, to create this sort of lacy paper. And I just, you know, with bits peeping out from underneath, I just think for your mixed media pieces, it's a really nice way. Right, so that's why there's a bowl of water that my dog's been drinking out of. Very random. Right, somebody remind me, I've tucked that under the counter because that'll be there forever now. Right, so let me get this down. So this is something else that I've done to some of my backgrounds, is done a torn flower. This is my poppy that I did, and this is the sort of thing I could do onto these, or again go in and add details by stitching. I think I was seeing a butterfly there, but because I need to add more thread to the bobbin, we won't be doing that today. How are we doing for time? We've got plenty of time. Right, have I missed any comments? Let me just check on comments for a second. There's 22 comments and I've not read any of them. Right, where am I up to? Up and still works, but electric. Right, I think I need to scroll back. Brown Singer was left and my house wouldn't have moved in. No one claimed it, so it's in my loft at the moment. Nice brown one with a box of parts. Tempted to get it down. Yeah, if it's the brown one, I know. The sort of yeah, get it down, have a go, because there's nothing there's nothing precious about it, because it's you know, it's sort of left behind. I'm just trimming off these. So yeah, because it's just a different way of attaching paper, and it just adds that lovely feel. So I would go and add more detail to these, but what I two things I love. One is picking out details from within a paper. Now obviously I'm using my paste papers here, but this could be it could be graphic 45, it could be Stamperia paper, and then you can follow some designs, or it could be a book page. A lady came to my book binding and she embroiders onto book page, cross stitches onto them. So if it's an Alice in Wonderland, she would do an Alice in Wonderland picture on it and stuff, and I just thought that was such a lovely idea. But even after you've got the backgrounds here, you could add die cuts to it. It doesn't have to be stitched, but here I'm definitely seeing a butterfly's wing there, and I would love to add lines like I have here and then continue it over here, and you can just draw the eye into different bits like we've done with other things. Right, you're just annoying me, laptop, so I'm ignoring you. Right, but let's see. Obviously there's more we could do to this. We could add layers to these and stuff like that, but what I am going to do now is let's actually make a card with these. But I say definitely they would need other elements. I say, be it, I mean, this flower, I mean, I could do one with glue. We could glue it on. So I'm going to pick red because we haven't got any red. Red and that nice yellowy one. If I use the right papers here, probably not. Right, so let's add that one doesn't need anything else, but let's add something. Let's add a flower to that one. Also, don't lay it in the water. So, a couple of ways you can do flowers, and this is how I did the sunflower. So I'll do a smaller version. Fold your paper up so that when you tear in a minute, that's going to be too thick to tear. I'm going to cut off the edge a minute. When you tear, you're tearing a sort of uniform set of something. So I'm just doing some very simple petal shapes. I do need the black paper as well, because that makes a nice middle for a poppy. I love this black one. So we're going to have a very simple poppy, and I'll glue this on, but you could stitch this. So then you're just going to, if you need to ink your edges to make it show up a little bit more, you can do, but because I folded my paper before tearing it, some of the petals have the white edge because they were facing one way, and the others don't because they were, so you can use that to highlight your basic shape. So you see, just laying them like that. Right, bit of glue. I'm going to just put a blob of glue in the middle like that because I want this to have a little bit of movement. And also by using a wet glue like this, I've got time to arrange these if I can get them apart. What is up with my fingers tonight? Okay, it can't be because I'm tired, because I fell asleep twice while trying to watch Sewing Bee. Still don't know who won and who went home. I fell asleep before the transformation, so that's, add that little middle, and then you've got a very simple little flower. Does look nice if you edge it with, I say, stitching or a pen or something like that. So there's another one of our little flowers done. So we've got that one's got interest there with the different stitching, and I'm happy with that one. So I think we're ready to start making this up into a card. Right, but honestly I can get totally and utterly lost in these. I had got these, I know these are too big, but again I was doing my fussy cutting of vintage images because I just think, again, that's such a nice contrast. The old vintage image against those bright, vibrant colours just has a really nice feel. And actually, I like that. Sorry, lady. I'll just chop your legs off. Bit dramatic. but I just kind of like the way she's flicking through the picture, through the photos. So I'm going to add that to this one. But I'll happily sit and fussy cut these out. I have also got, this one's definitely too big for these pictures, and I don't want to chop it up. I've got a fabulous flapper dancer. Where's she gone? Just look at this. Isn't it amazing? So as much as I do buy, you know, modern day reproductions of images like that, I do love finding old books that can be chopped up for things like that. And a lot of the ones I've been using at the moment are these book of the year kind of ones, because they're full of photos. So there's our 4 toppers. Right, let's start making something actually proper with it. Okay, so glue, lid on. Right, we need to start with a square of paper or card. You don't want it too heavyweight because this is going to work as the mechanism. I've squared off a piece of A4 to 8 inches, which has all meant I've already been able to cut my squares to the smaller size that to fit. If you haven't pre-thought your squares and you don't want to do any measuring, the way to do it is get 2 pieces of paper and square them off. We know that if we fold corner to corner and then cut that edge off, that gives you your square. Okay, so cut 2. So that's our second one. So on this one, we're still going to fold corner to corner. Fold it nicely and back on itself, so we know that's going to have nice movement. Okay, then this time we're just going to fold it normally in half, and then turn it and fold it normally in half the other way. This is the size of square we need to decorate it. So if you do the same to your other piece of card or other piece of paper, that will give you a template to follow, save you having to measure, because you know me, I don't like doing measuring. Right, so the basic card is this one. We've probably done this before, but there is a bit of a twist on this one. Okay, we're going to stick our topper, 2 toppers on the flat corners. Absolutely fine, perfectly normal. Okay, they're going to get stuck there. Bit of glue. Okay, bit of glue. Onto there. And same for this one. So just perfectly normally glued in. Okay. Now on these ones, we're only going to be gluing to half because we want our piece to be able to move and we want it to be able to fold. But what we're going to do is we're going to glue 1, 2, so let's call it right and left, to the left hand triangle. So if you put the glue on the card, not on the topper, you can see exactly where you need to go. Okay. And then on this one, we're going to put it on the opposite, so the right hand triangle. Okay. Oh, they look fabulous, all those colours. I do need another black, I think another black and white image on that one. And then when we fold it in, so just go slowly for your first fold. Fold that down, push that down because your glue's still wet. Fold that one in like that. Press it all down nice and firmly. I do feel like I'm not checking up on you all properly. Hang on, it says I'm caught up, but I don't think I am. Right, okay. Poppies, yeah, poppies is, and poppies are so easy to do as well, Lucy, because they're just circles really, and everybody recognises it as well. No, don't measure. No. Oh, it's nice that your grandson's there. Is he being good, or is he causing mischief? Mischief's good. Right, I'll read them all properly. So, then. When it opens, they sort of pop up, but I need to let the glue dry properly. Let the glue dry properly, because then that's better. So fold it down and open it up a lot while the glue's drying, and can you see how they're popping up? That's better as it starts to dry. Right, and how does this fit? You could do that just as a card as it is, but they do fit really nicely inside a card as well. So your card needs to be the size of the paper or card that you cut your square from, ideally. Then put it in at an angle. Apply glue to the back square. Generous amount. Bring it snug into the fold there. Bring it into the fold. And then glue on this bit. Close it down. Be patient and wait for the glue to dry, which we all know I'm not going to do. And then when you open it up, see how you get that lovely popping up motion. Close it and it pops up. And you've just got something, it just gives you a nice change of direction. So a nice simple one, that one. And then obviously you would make something to go on the front, which we've got plenty of bits to be doing with. I think she'd have to go on the front. I think that is a brilliant image. So nice and simple, that one, with your 4 toppers. So that would be really nice for 4 seasons. Just, it's a nice motion. I say, and the more you let the glue dry, as tempting as it is to use double-sided adhesive for things like this, which give an instant grab, it is better to use a wet glue, because if you do accidentally have something facing in the opposite direction to what you want, you've got that time to move it. Because it just, there's nothing more annoying than you do that and then it's like, oh, actually that's round the wrong way, I wanted it to open the other way, you know. But it's just a really nice motion, that one. Nice simple pop up, that. So a nice simple one there for tonight. So I think probably a tiny bit early, but that was also because my bobbin ran out. We couldn't add some flowers. But that's the nice thing with these papers, is the fact that you can just tear them up, layer them and see what you can see. And obviously I was just using the papers as at bare minimum, just the papers. There's no reason why you can't stamp on them. You can't die cut into them. You can't, you know, scratch onto them, add paste to the top of them. These are designed to be more of a background paper, but I just added lots of depth to them, so they do lend themselves to this kind of collagey thing. So if you are struggling with your starting on your journals and things like that, putting one of these down to break up that white might be a good way to start. And as I say, the fact that Paul's made them into downloads as well means that you can just print off as few or as many as you want, because you'll end up with favourites. And I know originally this pack was going to be 12 and then you got 2 of each for the paper pack, but when I was doing them, there was just so many that I liked. It's like, oh, can we put that one in, can we put that one in? And there is still more. So what I've done is I've saved some back for the club. So every month in the club you'll have 2 or 3 papers available as a download and a template and stuff like that, and I've kept some back and I will happily make more. If you saw the picture of the state of my hands, you'll know why this might not be the craft for everybody, but by me doing them, and it was a hardship, it really was a hardship to have paper everywhere and paste and stuff, It just, you know, it means that it's accessible to everybody. So I hope you've enjoyed tonight, and you appreciate my beautiful sewing machine. I'm not a stitcher, but the fact that I can just use it instead of glue is such a lovely alternative. And I just think it adds another element. It's no different to using a texture paste or a stencil or something like that. It's just another layer to work with. And I just think, you know, 1939 sewing machine needs to have a Facebook Live. So I will love you and leave you. There is still time to sign up for the club for September. There is still time to sign up for the online bookbinding workshop. Otherwise, I will see you same place, same time, same place next week. Quick heads up, towards the end of September, I'm away for 2 weeks and I do not know how good my signal is going to be. So I am going to attempt to pre-record 2 Facebook Lives. Bit of an oxymoron there. But basically, according to this, I can pre-record them and then schedule them to go out as normal. So I'm just giving you the heads up that I'm going to attempt to do that so that we can continue these. So as they're going to be pre-recorded, if there's anything particular you want to see, and it will be the week commencing the 20th of September, the consecutive 2 Wednesdays then, that they will be pre-recorded. So if there's anything you want me to do, because I can sort of, you know, do it, because it's not going to be as interactive because it won't be live, but it's a perfect opportunity if there's anything you want to see me do. But in the meantime, have a good rest of the week. I hope everybody's gardens has had a bit of a water today, and I will see you this time next week, when we will be doing, I don't know yet, haven't decided, but check out the website for the new things, and I will see you next week. Take care.